Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the gender-sensitive and climate-just financing mechanisms in just a minute. We're waiting for Mary Robinson to arrive, and then we'll get started. So please just bear with us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our event on gender-sensitive and climate-just financing mechanisms. We're a little bit late in starting, so we're going to jump straight in, and I'm very pleased to introduce our Vice President, Dr. Kevin Kariuki, who will give us some opening remarks before Professor Tahseen Jaffrey takes over to chair the rest of our discussions. So thank you very much for attending. You're all very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Mary Robinson and Mary Robinson Center for Climate Justice back to the African Pavilion. You may not know this, Mary, but many years ago, I watched you stride the political landscape like a colossus when I was a student, a young engineering student in UK. So I saw you when you were president in Ireland, and I was very, very impressed. And I always found you amazing, so to speak. This is your second side event hosted by the African Pavilion. The first was at COP26. In both instances, the topic is gender-sensitive and climate-just financing mechanisms. Today is Gender Day. and we have extensively heard about challenges that women and young girls face because of climate emergency. As homemakers and primary caregivers, mothers, wives, and daughters, women and girls carry inordinately heavy burdens just because of their gender. At other gender or just transition events today, or during other events under the current COP, you may have heard heart-rending accounts of hardship and missed opportunities that women and girls face every day because of increasingly onerous circumstances occasioned by climate change. We have indeed become increasingly aware that the conditions to which women and girls are exposed make it eminently more difficult for them to access climate finance, which in turn makes it even harder for them to break out of the vicious cycle that ultimately locks them into poverty and hardship. As it is already difficult to mobilize resources for the small-scale context-specific activities that are typically implemented by small, micro, and medium enterprises, communities, cooperatives, and households. Suffice it to say that it is eminently harder for women and girls to access finance. This is because of the disadvantages women and girls face because of lack of education, traditional land and resource ownership rights, all of which render the majority of women and almost all young girls uncreditworthy. Furthermore, constraints because of the time they must dedicate to caregivers and mothers, including those associated with collecting firewood, and mothers, including those associated with collecting firewood, fetching water and cooking, etc., only disadvantage the women and children even more. Through the bank's work on climate adaptation, application of our own gender assessment procedures, and in partnership with the Climate Investment Funds, Global Affairs Canada, and the Mary Robinson Center, our bank's climate change team has become increasingly aware of these issues. Accordingly, I am very pleased to report that we have started several initiatives that will contribute